Everything you talk about debt is holding you back. I know that's a bold statement, but after becoming debt free in 2013, I can prove it. Most people follow the build your credit, build your credit, build your credit mantra, but that's exactly what's holding them back financially. I discovered one thing the hard way when we owed $20,000 of debt. But when I stopped doing what the so-called experts say to do and started doing this one thing, everything changed. In just 2 months, I was able to pay off over $3,000 of debt. Do you want to know the exact system that I used? Later in the video, I'll share 3 tips with you that no one's talking about. I'm the Cody Grady, DG, the money coach, and I'm all about helping you to master your finances. Now let's dive into the conversation. It's the end of the month, financial literacy month. I'm on a debt-free journey to pay off debt again for the second time, right? I want to invite you into the conversation, invite you into this conversation about why you should become debt-free. In fact, I'm going to show you the exact strategy that I did to become debt-free. But before we get started, drop in the chat below. Do you love debt? Are you in love with your debt that you can't break up with it? Drop it in the chat. If you are, you better way to just turn out the video because this video is not for you. This video is for those who hate debt and want to crush it. Here are 3 reasons why you should pay off debt. The first thing you need to do is get your mind right. What do I mean by that? Paying off debt is a mindset shift and then a heart shift. If you're married to debt, meaning you don't want to stop using it, it's going to be hard for you to pay off debt because you'll think it's a tool that's going to help you build your FICO score. You can get points from different airlines or different things that you are a part of that allows you to build points to get certain rewards. You'll have a hard time breaking out with debt. So I want to break the mentality of debt is the only way to live. Debt is the best way to live. And that's a lie because think about it. If you didn't have any debt, how much could you do with your life? What could you achieve? What could you accomplish for you, your family, your community, and the world? Think about that for a moment. It's amazing to think that you can do so much more without debt. All right, so you gotta change your mind. For me, I heard a guy talking about becoming debt free. At that time, I had a credit card and I was using it for travel for my job. I was an auditor traveling around the country. He said, use cash. I'm like, shit, cash. Although he was right, but at the time, I was like, well, I use my credit card for emergencies. I didn't like being in debt. I paid my credit card off, and I used it all I needed to, emergencies, right? But I would use it for my travel and get reimbursed and then pay the money to pay on the credit card. So I just said, let me attempt this one thing. Let me attempt to use my cash instead of a credit card. And man, it was challenging, but it was also life-altering. It challenged me mentally to think there's another way to live my life other than being in debt. And secondly, it broke the belief that I cannot live without debt, right? It challenged me to change my lifestyle, and I haven't looked back. So you have to be willing to change what you've been doing and change what everyone else is doing. In fact, one stat said about 80% of people in America have debt. That's alarming. That means a ton of people have debt. According to the Federal Reserve of New York, this is the total debt as of the third quarter of 2024. Total debt is $17.94 trillion. Not million, not billion, but $1 trillion. That's a ton of money, y'all. So I don't want you to be in debt. I want you to change your mindset about becoming debt free. It starts with your mind. And once you get that in your mind, it'll go from your mind to your heart. And then at that point, it's over. You drink the Kool-Aid by that point. So I want you to drink the Kool-Aid, change your mindset about debt. Once you change your mindset, this is why you need to get out of debt. Because if you want to make better decisions with your finances, stop overspending, and stop impulse spending, get you a free resource, the free money plan budget tracker at thecodygrady.com. This is how you're going to really transform your finances in 2025. You're paying back more than you borrow. You're paying back principal plus interest. Interest is the cost of borrowing money or using OPM, other people's money. I know gurus out there saying use debt, leverage, build your credit, build your FICO score, all this nonsense, because that's all they know. They know that cash rules. They think cash isn't king when cash crushes debt. When you borrow money, what do you pay it back with? Money, whether it's digital money or physical cash money, you're paying the debt back with money. People are so against using cash when they say, think about it. You're borrowing money and paying it back. So it's like, why are you against something that you're going to use anyway? Well, I want to just build my credit. Well, how do you build credit? You build credit by paying it back with money, right? You borrow money, again, whether it's physical money or digital money going from your bank account, their bank account, the lenders, to yours. It's the same concept. You pay it back with money, right? Even when you transfer debt from a credit card to another credit card, eventually I pay it back with money, right? But when you pay that money back, you'll pay back principal plus interest. Well, I'm just paying no interest on this particular loan or whatever, all right? But in the fine print, I guarantee you it says if you don't pay this money back by a certain date, all the money that you didn't pay during the interest-free period is accruing. And if you don't pay that loan back during that time period, the interest will be applied to the balance you owe. So you again paying back principal plus interest, and principal plus interest is more than you actually borrowed. So that's why you're staying broke. Second reason why you should pay off debt is because it's robbing you of your financial future. Again, I want you to visualize what could you do if you had no debt. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine you had no debt and someone asked you to go on a trip to the Bahamas, to Spain, to Jamaica, anywhere around the world that you want to go, and you had the money to do it. You had no debt. How would that feel? Or imagine if you had a friend who needed money to pay a particular bill, maybe the mortgage because they lost a job, he or she lost a job. And you had the money to pay because you had money saved because you had no debt. And you were able to gift that money to your friend. How would it make you feel inside? Or imagine if you had the opportunity to invest in a business, to start your own business. And you had no debt. You didn't have to go in debt because you had money, because you had no debt. And you were able to save the money that you were earning every month instead of paying it to someone else. Imagine if you had no debt. You could build a future that you really want and the real one that you really deserve, right? So I want you to pay off this debt so you can build a future, because otherwise you're robbing yourself of a better financial future for you, your children, your grandchildren, and beyond. So debt is not only affecting you now, it's affecting you in the future and future generations too, who may become after you. So the last reason why you should become debt-free is because it's keeping you broke and making the lender rich. The scripture says the borrower, you, is slave to the lender. The banks, whoever you're borrowing money from, whether it be a personal loan, business loan, however, car payments, mortgage payment, student loan payment, a bike payment, motorcycle payment, whatever payment, yacht payment, all the payments are keeping you in bondage, keeping you enslaved to debt. So you're working hard, whether you have a business or a job, and you're working 40, 80, 60 hours a week just to pay bills, just to pay debt, to live like you're balling out of control, but you're really drowning in debt. You're on social media showing you taking trips and going to different things and buying homes and flipping properties and doing all these things, and people don't know inside you're dying because you have so much freaking debt. I want you to let go of the debt because it's holding you back from the life that you really want. The authentic, real life, not one that's fabricated. People telling you to go build your credit, go your debt, to leverage, and then you have cash flow coming in, but you still got a mortgage to pay for. What if you buy that home? You flip the money, right? You leverage the house, the first house, sell it, and then you go buy another property. But you want to keep it this time. You have a mortgage on it. and you buy 5 properties and all of them are leveraged, right? And what if you can't get renters? I'm going to devil's advocate with you now. You can't get renters in any of them. You got 5 mortgages. No, 6 mortgages because you got 1 on your personal home too. You got all this money that's due every single month. If you don't have a renter in that property, now if you do, that's fine. But the whole point is you have a mortgage on that property. If you're not paying it, then your renters are going to pay it. And if you don't have a tenant in that particular property, you're going to have a mortgage to pay times 2 or 3 or whatever. But everyone's telling you, go on debt, to leverage, to borrow money. Psychologically, it's tearing you down. You're stressed, you're worried, anxious, having thoughts of maybe even suicide, all because of debt. You want to look good, drive good, smell good, and you're broke as a joke. I want you to stay out of debt. It's easy to do. I'm going to show you how. But it all starts with your mindset, realizing that debt is a thief. It's come to steal, kill, and destroy you and your financial future. So this is the debt crusher method. That's right, y'all. We're crushing debt in 2025 and beyond. How do you do the debt crusher method? It's simple. How do you begin? First, you want to start listing your debts from the tiniest one to the biggest one, regardless of interest rate, because what matters is how much momentum you have in getting out of debt. So in our case here, we're listed our debts from the tiniest one to the biggest one. And we have Sears, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and Citibank. So the first debt we have is Sears. So we owe Sears $1,500. And we're going to pay the minimum payment on everything but the smallest one. The smallest one we're going to attack, pay off as soon as possible, because the more momentum you have by getting out of debt gives you a quick win, giving you the enthusiasm to know that you can get out of debt. But it starts with the first one. So in our example here, we're starting with Sears. We owe Sears $1,500. And the minimum payment for Sears is $100. So if we pay the minimum on that, it will take us 15 months to pay that off. But we're going to go crazy and work hard, work extra to get some extra income to pay off this debt. And instead of 15 months, we're going to pay it off in, say, 10 months, all right? So debt is crushed. So the next debt we're going to pay off is Visa. So the minimum payment for Visa was $150, but we're going to pay $250 on it because we're going to pay the minimum payment we were paying on the Sears debt plus the minimum payment we're going to pay on the Visa debt. And then that debt is crushed in 8 months, all right? The next one is MasterCard, because MasterCard is your master because you owe MasterCard money. So we owe MasterCard $4,500. The minimum payment on this one is $200. But we're going to pay the minimum payments we're paying on the Sears and the Visa one, plus the minimum on the MasterCard, amounting to $450, paying that debt off in 10 months. The next one, I'm going to discover freedom from debt by paying on Discover Card. So we owe Discover Card $6,000. The minimum payment on this debt is $300, right? So instead of paying the minimum of $300, we're going to pay the minimum payment of $300 plus the ones we're paying on the other debts. So we're going to pay $750 altogether to pay this debt off in 8 months. That's right, y'all. This is how it works, and this is how you can do it. And our last one is Citibank. What's in your wallet? A debit card. That's right. And cash, baby. Cash rules, and debt sucks the life out of you and your bank account. So we owe Citibank $7,500, but the minimum payment was $250. However, we're going to pay the minimum payment to $250 plus all the amounts we're paying on the other debts, the Sears, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and Citibank, amounting to $1,000. That's right. So this debt going to be crushed in 7.5 months. That's right. That's how you become debt-free, baby. Woo! This process works if you work the process. It may take you longer or shorter depending on how much debt you have, but the whole point is you can do this if you want to. Follow the process. take the steps, have intensity, don't go back into debt. Once you're out of debt, stay out of debt. And then you can get your life back and live the life that you really want and you deserve. Let's go, y'all. Let's get it.